I'm Kelsey D Comics. The D stands for Discourse. And today I'm going to be talking about something that has popped up in the discourse anytime that I've hung out in a comics maker space for longer than like 5 minutes at a time. The thing I want to talk about, the fan art versus original art debate. The question that pops up the most in these circles, especially from people who are new and want to get into vending at events for the first time, they will ask the question, should I have fan art on my table? How much of my table should be devoted to fan art? What kind of fan art should I make? And those sorts of questions. So, why does my opinion matter on this? Well, I've been a vendor at various events since 2013. So I have 12 years of experience under my belt going to comic conventions, zine fests, pop culture cons, anime conventions. Admittedly, not that many anime conventions, but I still have some anime conventions under my belt. Several other types of events. I've done the experimenting, I've run the gamut, and I've also talked with other artists who also have contended with this question. Here's the best answer that I can give you. Should you make fan art, or should you just stick with original art? The answer I can give is, it depends on the show. And I'm saying this because it really is very contingent on the show that you are applying for. Say, for example, you are applying for a table at A2CAF, the Ann Arbor Comic Arts Festival. I've been there twice. I've seen so many people's table setups. I've seen what they offer. I would say the 2 years that I've gone, the folks who do offer fan art, it makes up 25% or less of their table, because A2CAF's focus is on original stories and original characters and content. They are prioritizing people who make original stuff. You can bring fan art to A2CAF. It just cannot make up more than 25% of your table, ballparking it there. There have been shows in the past, like OhioCon. I'm not sure that I could recommend going to that one because the last I checked, the staff of OhioCon actually went on strike because of what management had been doing. I don't think that conflict has been resolved, so I cannot in good conscience recommend OhioCon at this point in time. Before the workers' strike, though, OhioCon prided itself on being a convention with a zero fan art policy. And it prided itself on this because for a lot of folks who specialize in original content, kind of like myself, it can be really hard to set up at an event and discover that all of your table neighbors have fan art and you're the only person with like an original comic or original characters. That can be a little tricky to navigate. And OhioCon, before the workers' strike, basically handled this by saying no fan art at our convention if you're tabling at Artist Alley. Those are examples of A2CAF and OhioCon. Other anime conventions that I have attended will prioritize fan artists, but like in a kind of a loophole-y way, where it's like, yes, we allow fan art, just don't make fan art of any Disney-related properties, because a lot of folks who are in the art scene know that Disney lawyers are very litigious. They will sue you for any kind of infringement. Doesn't matter what it is. So most fan artists don't do Disney stuff as a result of this. It is not a bad thing to look at the scene and go, you know what? I don't want to deal with lawyers. Because, hey, there have been so many conventions and events that have also had to deal with lawyers cracking down on them. It was definitely more of a thing pre-2016 to be worried about lawyers cracking down on copyright infringement. Nowadays, with generative AI just doing copyright infringement on behalf of tech bros, that's a side tangent for another day. Anyway, talking about like what works best for what types of shows. If you're going to like a pop culture event, and let's face it, a lot of shows that market themselves as comic cons are really pop culture cons. You can tell the difference by who's on the guest roster. If you're looking at the guest roster and you're seeing like, this was a person from Power Rangers, this is the voice actor, one of the voice actors from Has Been Hotel, this is a voice actor from a like 90s nostalgia property, that's a pop culture show. That's how you can tell the difference. Comic cons that focus on just the comics, usually their guest roster is, oh, this is somebody who worked on this arc of DC Comics. This is somebody who worked on this specific run of Iron Man. This is somebody who's worked with Top Cow. This is somebody, that sort of thing. If the guest roster sounds a lot like that, that's an honest-to-God Comic-Con. Anime conventions can sometimes toe the line into pop culture cons, especially if their guest list includes voice actors from not anime properties or actors from not Japanese productions. So whenever you're looking at pop culture cons like those, it can make more sense to do fan art, but really only do it if you're so inclined to do it. And if you're going to do it of properties that you actively enjoy engaging with. Don't just make fan art because it's the popular thing. If you're gonna make fan art, do it of something that you love to draw. That would be my advice as far as that goes, because I'll be honest, and this might actually scandalize a couple of my friends, I don't care that much about Has-Been Hotel to draw fan art of it. I just can't be bothered to do it. Sorry. But I would absolutely draw Vash the Stampede from Trigun any day of the week. Specifically, the original run of Trigun, the anime. I have not seen Trigun Stampede yet. Trigun Stampede design is cute, but he's not the OG. That's if I were to make fan art. If I were to get into a pop culture show and I wanted to make fan art, I would probably do something connected to Trigun, Dragon Ball Z, or any of the anime that I grew up watching that I'm like, oh yeah, I could draw this all day, every day if I really wanted to. But I would not draw something that's like in the pop culture zeitgeist just because it's like hugely popular. Right now, as of August 7th, 2025, which is when I'm recording this, the thing that's in the pop culture zeitgeist right now are, from what I can tell, Has-Been Hotel and that new movie on Netflix about like K-pop demon hunters or something like that. It's probably actually called K-pop demon hunters for what I remember. I can't be bothered to make fan art of either of those. So if you're gonna make fan art, make it of something that you're like, oh yeah, I'll draw this. That said, only do fan art if you're going to a particular event where it makes sense to do that. Pop culture cons, anime conventions, some comic cons, those are the shows that it makes the most sense to do fan art and carry it at your table. If you're going to a comic arts fest, a zine fest, or even an art fair of some kind, I would not recommend bringing fan art at all. For a lot of comic arts fests, they have explicit rules stating no fan art a lot of the time. Some shows will be like, yes, you can bring fan work, but it cannot make up more than X% amount of your table. There are some shows that will be like comics only. There will be some shows that will allow you to have the majority of your table be prints. Those are usually the pop culture cons that allow most of your table to be prints, rather than like trying to specify how much of your table should be prints versus original comics and art and things like that. It varies from show to show as to whether to do fan art or original art. For my money, I've put most of my eggs in the original art basket. I don't mind doing this. I do not mind devoting myself to my original characters and plot lines. I have a rollicking fun time doing that. It may be a harder sell to some people, especially if you're going to a pop culture convention for the first time, because when you're going to a pop culture con for the first time and you focus almost entirely on original art, you're gonna have to get really good at elevator pitching and pitching your stuff to other people in like a really quick and concise way. A lot of people get really nervous about doing that, and I'll do a follow-up video about how to get people excited about your original characters, although the Starfish Face also has a video about how to promote your original characters. It's a good beginner's guide if you have no idea where to start. If you're being a vendor and you want to try to sell original characters, the strategies to do that are their own particular skill set, and maybe that's the video that I do, is I'm going to a comic convention for the first time and I want to sell original stuff. How do I pitch people on my original content? maybe that'll be a follow-up video. So, in short, should you do fan art or original art? If you're going to a pop culture con, an anime convention, or Comic-Con, it makes sense to do fan art. Just abide by the rules of the Artist Alley agreement. The Artist Alley agreement will specify how much of your table should be devoted to what percent, to what stuff. Some shows will say no fan art at all. Some shows will allow fan art, but only half of the table can be fan art. Abide by the rules when it comes to going to an event for the first time. If you're going to a comic arts fest, a zine fest, or say like Pittsburgh Indie Expo, or some kind of indie expo, like Small Press Expo, the focus is going to be more on original content and original characters and original stories. So for those types of shows, put your fan art aside and focus entirely on the original stuff. I hope you found this advice helpful. If you have any further questions about this debacle, feel free to leave them down in the comments below and I'll get to them as quick as I can. I'll do a follow-up video at some point discussing how you can sell your original content to people, especially if you feel like you don't have a sales bone in your body. Keep an eye out for that video. Do the YouTube stuff, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. This art that you watched me draw is a mini print that I drew for my club members. If you would like to join any of my art clubs, you can go to ko-fi.com/Kelsey D. Crawford. That's ko-fi.com/Kelsey D. Crawford. Members get new mini comics and mini prints every month, as well as early access to my webcomics and a bunch of other rewards. Everything's detailed at ko-fi.com/Kelsey D. Crawford. If you click on memberships, everything is detailed there. That's all I've got for now. Thank you so much for listening. You are awesome.